Let's start to do basic visualization on the credit card churner dataset with help of Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Power BI. Pause this video to read about the case we have here and make sure that you have downloaded the dataset. In Microsoft Excel, Chart Options is at the Insert tab. Let's get our dataset ready in Microsoft Excel. So when we come to the Insert tab here, we can insert charts using this button, and we can even use the recommended charts function for Excel to recommend suitable charts for us. So now let's say I want to start with looking at the relationship between total transaction amount and also total transaction count, these two. So I'll highlight these two and see what Excel recommends us. So this is a scatter plot. This is a line plot which looks not so suitable. Histogram, where the data here are categorized, or line chart. Okay, histogram again, and another line chart, which is the opposite from just now. Scatter plot would be the most suitable one, so let's press OK. And it will just show up here. Yep. Now I'm gonna show you how to use pivot table and pivot chart to do some data visualization. So just put your cursor at any one of the cells here and click Insert and click Pivot Table. So this box appear and make sure that the table that we are choosing is the correct one, credit card churners. And let's put the pivot table in a new worksheet and press OK. Now a new sheet appears and our table fields are all here. So let's say we're gonna start with the distribution of attrited versus existing customers. So let us put our attrition flag over here, the rows. So we'll have attrited customers and existing customers. And then we put the same thing, attrition flag, but this time we drag it to the value quadrant here. By default, it shows counts of attrition flag, which is exactly what we want. If you want to change this measurement, you can click on the arrow button here, drop down menu, and select value field settings to change the measurement that you want. So this is basically what we are going to show. How many attrited customer versus how many existing customer. So with this, we can now go to the Analyze tab and select Pivot Chart. So obviously, the most recommended one is a bar chart. Press OK. Yeah, that's it. If we want to see more categories, let's say gender. So now, where do we put our genders? Don't put it under filters. Instead, we can put it under the legend here. So drag your gender to legend quadrant. Yeah, that's it. Now, this is the count, or we can call it the frequency distribution of the attrition flag by gender. So drag it over here, so our table is here. Now, let's say we want to display another chart, which is quite similar to this, but slightly different in the way of presenting it. So let's put your cursor, click back on your table here, and go back to Analyze tab. Select Pivot Chart again. So instead of the cluster column just now, let us see what's the second one, stacked column. You may try to use this, but now I'm going to introduce you the third one, which is the 100% stacked column. So I personally like this because it shows the percentage instead of counts. So put it here. Now let us go back to our data tab and let us open another new sheet for another pivot table and another pivot chart. Let's go to insert button again and select pivot table again. Okay, now a new sheet has opened. Now let's try to look at some continuous data. For example, let's take this total transaction amount. Now drag it over to the rows again and again to the values. So drag the same thing to rows and also values. But now under the values here, it shows the sum, which is actually meaningless because we want the distribution. The distribution actually means like count, the frequency. So instead of sum, let's change this. Open the drop-down menu and select value field settings. And by default, it is given as sum. So we select count instead. So now it becomes count of the total transaction amount. Click OK. Yep, that's it. And insert pivot chart. So by default, it is something like this. Let's press OK. And yep, we can see the distribution is roughly in this pattern. Now you may say that, oh, this is quite awful. It's not nice. So what can we do? Now click on the table anywhere of your table and go to the Analyze button. And we try to group our data here because this is recognized as discrete labels. So instead of discrete, let us try to group them using this group selection. It suggests us to start at 510 because this is the lowest value and ends at 18484, which is the largest value, by 1000. But I think that 1000 is too large already. We can try it. So we can try it. I show you first. So it is grouped into thousands and the table is changed to something like this, which does not really illustrate what we want. So instead of this, let's group again. So I can let us remain starting at 510, but the ending, let us make it slightly bigger. This is 18484. Let us make it 18500. And by, let's try 100. Okay, so seems nice enough. Yeah, so now you see our graph here looks more clean. Okay, and even though it's clean, but it's unlike just now, which is very few groups only. So now, yeah, this one looks better. If you want to change any setting of the graph, for example, I think that the bins here, each columns here is too thin. I want to make it thicker. So what can we do is you double click it, double click anywhere of your graph. And here we can choose which options we want to change. So now I want to change the width of the columns here. So I choose series. Okay, this series is actually the data. So I'll choose this. And I'll go to this button here. So the series options we can change are overlap and also gap width. So you can play around with this. For now, I'm going to change the gap width from 219% to, let's say, 50%. Enter. So it looks more close to each other now, which I think, okay, I'm good to go. Now, I would like to add another information here. Remember just now we only show the total transaction amount without any other information on the graph. So let's say I want to see how much customers who are attrited and versus how much customers who are still with us. So instead of just the total, let us do something with this attrition flag. Pull it to the columns. Drop it here. And yes, it shows attrited and existing customers in two different colors. But I noticed one thing here. Of course, one is about the width like just now, we can change the width like what I did just now. But another problem that I notice here is normally we want to pay attention more on the attrited customers, but these attrited customers is given in blue color, which is comparatively a more calm color. I would pay more attention to the orange color if I see this graph. So it is like opposite already. So instead of using these colors, why not we change the colors? So again, double click and we select again attrited customers or existing customers. So let's change the color for attrited customers first. So the color is here, and fill, I would choose like okay, let's don't choose red, but I choose orange instead. Okay, and the size, the gap width is still 50%, so good to go. Now existing customer, also we change the color. So instead of orange, we change it to, let's say, blue color. So now it looks nicer with more appropriate labels. Blue color, the existing customer, which is more calm. We don't need to pay so much attention as compared to the treated customers. So the treated customers are in orange color, which catch attention more. Another thing that we can do is, let's generate another chart showing the percentage of a treated customer and existing customer. Because I'm quite interested to see, is there any specific patterns here? Because we see that the treated customers has the peaks here around those who spend around this amount are treated the most. So let's try to see their percentage. So put your cursor on the pivot table again and go to the Analyze tab and select another pivot chart. So instead of this one, we select the third one, which is the 100% stacked column. So okay. Again, I don't feel happy with the colors here. So let's change the color before we comment. Double click. So I'll choose orange again, and for existing customer, I'll choose blue again. So this is consistent for both the charts. We use the same color. So now it looks a bit not so nice. So let's change the overlapping. Oh, the gap width is now 150%. So let's make it smaller. Yeah, that looks nicer, right? But anyway, this looks nicer to me. It doesn't mean that it looks nicer for you. So you can decide on your own. So from here, yeah, we can see that the percentage of customers treating is the highest in this range. Another peak at around here, another peaks around here, and another peaks around here. But surprisingly, for those who spend a lot, doesn't seem to treat. So this is interesting. Now is your turn to play around with other features also. Enjoy!